Hey guys, what's going on? Want to talk a little bit about Sebastian and Jake Rogers. Part 3. I just wanted to come on for a little bit. I don't have much time, but I did want to come on for a little bit, guys. And remember, trigger warning times 100 million. And allegedly, this is all my opinion, my theories, my thoughts, my speculations. Not to reflect on the channel, y'all's comments, y'all's alone. Not to reflect on the channel. We do our research together. So, Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy holidays to everyone. I hope y'all are all safe. We know, of course, Sebastian's not home and needs to be home. And we need to talk about all this. I know it's really windy. It might be hard to hear me, guys. I'm sorry. We're battling a windstorm today. And I wanted to come on and give the last bit of my... I made 2 last night. I dropped one of them today, one of them last night. I'm going to make this one, and then I'm going to do one for Christmas tomorrow. But this one is the one I want to talk about, timelining. And, there's a lot of speculations. Everybody has their own opinions, and that's wonderful, right? I love when people have their own opinions. I do. And it's what helps in all cases, right? We know the fire's turned up. Look at them Texas fire red ants right there. Fired up this morning. And I do want to talk a little bit about that. I think the red flags are flying, like I said last night, like I said on both videos. I felt that something was coming. I felt that they have something way more. I feel like the FBI has something, putting the reward out. Like I said, when they first put it out, there's a reasoning for this, right? They don't just put that out for no reason. And timelines could change a little depending on if it's really the 26th, and that means it was after midnight when he was taken out of that home. The shoes have always bothered me. I said that before. I feel like if we stop and look, the one thing that we really didn't really think much about, and the one vehicle that they defended, if you remember, was the van, right? So I'm wondering if somehow, some way, possibly, something had been, put in that van beforehand as part of the plan, and they used that, and never know. I'm just wondering if the van played any kind of role at all. We know that it was seen on footage, I think, around that weekend or something like that. It had been used or something, but we don't know for sure, but it's something to think about. Nobody's really talked about the van much. They did defend that van in that interview with Nancy Grace, really big, right? He defended that van like there was no tomorrow, even though it's sitting out and anybody can see it and anybody can get a license plate. I do believe the Wi-Fi connection, which I haven't talked about yet. I've been trying to wait because there's not, anytime that does that, that reminds me of the Idaho 4, the Blue Smurfy of Kaylee's. That I believe is going to be the biggest part of this whole case. I really do. I think it'll come out in court, and I think they're going to prove that his phone connected to that Blue Smurfy, even in airplane mode, even powered off, doesn't matter. It'll still connect. So even if Christopher had, when his truck and all that connect with Bluetooth to your phone like that, it connects to Wi-Fi. Anytime you're in an area of Wi-Fi. I know he's trying to backtrack it, and that's why I haven't really talked much about it, but I do have a feeling, I've always said, I thought he was there. There was never any proof that he was up there other than that phone call. But that phone call really could have been anybody. He could have had anybody sit up there. It could have been Terry sitting up there doing that. It could have been Kat. It could have been anything. Anybody could have sat up there and made that phone call to give them both an alibi. They could have had Terry at the camper and Kathy at that, and that's why it was so late getting picked up. Maybe Terry had to drive all the way back after they finished doing what they were doing. He had to drive all the way home. It was about 3 in the morning, and then he picked up Kathy from that house and took her home. I know that's going to shock a lot of y'all, but that's one of the things that I haven't talked about yet, and I've been waiting to talk about it for a while. Because I always feel that all 4 of them are involved. Because those are the 4 that picked on this child the most. And I feel like that grandma wanted that granddaughter so bad that she'd have done anything, right? I did feel that way. Y'all know that. And I have a hunch that, it's just my opinion though. You know that, right? It's just my opinion, trigger warning. But I have a hunch that either Terry was sitting at that RV that went up there so Chris could leave, And somehow, some way, he either took Terry's truck, Chevrolet Avalanche, so his truck wouldn't be seen. Because I know that vehicle on that camera kind of looks like the shape of maybe an Avalanche a little bit to me. And I feel like maybe they met halfway, and that's how they swapped it out. And maybe it was a little after, right before midnight or whatever, the 26th, the early morning hours. And that's why the FBI put out that he was seen in that area, right? Maybe he was seen walking out to one of them. Maybe this little child is put up somewhere. And I don't think so, but I think when they say something like that, they say it for a reason. And I feel now that at least everybody's talking about it more, and it's coming from, really good sources that we can talk about it now, right? I do feel that way. I mean, I have talked about it from the beginning, but I try to be careful on what I say, because I don't ever want to say anything. It's going to come back and bite me. So I have to kind of, use my free speech and allegedly all my ideas. But I did want to say, I feel somehow, some way, all four of them are involved. I feel like Terry was probably up there at Chris's camper using that phone call, using Chris's phone. Kathy was at that house using Katie's phone, and that would allow both of them to do what they did. And whether it's foul play, which most of us think it is, and it took two of them to do it, they could have driven, you think about it, they could have driven, anywhere halfway in between. And a lot of them, if you remember, Seth was looking halfway in between, right? He had a hunch about that park. That's a big park. There's no way that whole park was searched. It's too big. But we do know that all these little things that we look at now and go back and read on and check it out, that it's probably a reasoning for it, right? And, if they did meet halfway, she left the roadhouse, met him halfway, because they can't identify who took out the trash, right? That's why I think that's Kathy. I really do. A live animal there. I do feel that somehow, some way, that they did this together. And I think that's why he was protecting her so much in the interviews. I think where they messed up was talking a little too much. And now it's coming back to haunt them, because they did give us a lot. I always thought that. I know it seemed like a little proof, little fact, but a lot to work with. And I'm so glad in a way that all this is coming to light, right? Because now we can talk more freely, and they don't really have the grounds to fight back on, right? Not right now, they don't. And because I'm sure they're actually very, very nervous, all four of them. It wouldn't surprise me if all four ran to Canada. It really wouldn't. It would not shock me at this point. We know they'll leave. They've left before. They ghosted the child in the very beginning anyway. But if you stop and think about it for a minute and just picture it, right? Chris came in for the weekend. It went south. He thought, oh my God, I'm going to get caught. He left. Say Sunday, whenever they decided to go run Sebastian, he said, all right, I'm leaving. Don't worry about me no more. I'll stay out of y'all's hair. And he left. And they had worked out whatever they were going to do. You're going to take him here, take him here, take him here, show him a good time. Some people, like I said, Last Supper. I pray to God that's wrong. I do. I pray to God this child is somewhere alive, put up. I really do. The chance of running away, I've always said 10% at the most, because he didn't go without shoes. I think somehow, some way, whatever happened that night, and it was before, I do believe it was before midnight. I really do. I felt that way for a while. I don't think it was 3:30. I think that was when Terry had just got back from Memphis, because Chris had just got back to the camper and retaken over his phone, retaken over everything. I want to say, I bet you there's some messages somehow, some way to each other to let them know we're home safe, or somehow they were able to do that through Kathy and Terry's phones to let them know that they were there. All right, I'll check in a minute, babe. And I'm wondering if that's how they did this. I haven't talked about it before. Like I said, part 3 was going to be a shocker, but I do feel somehow, some way that they're all four involved in this. And it's horrible, it's heartbreaking, it's sad. As much as we don't want to talk about it, we have to, because the justice needs to be for this child. Just as is of any child that's missing or voiceless, right? They all need justice, no matter what. But this autism boy, you know, Sebastian Wayne Jake Rogers, it's heartbreaking because he didn't, you know, he can't help it. He was born that way. He's just extra special. Y'all know I say that all the time. They're extra special. They are. When they have special needs, they're extra special. They need extra attention. They need extra love and extra care. That's what comes into these extra special children. And I think it was all the motive was the court. I really do. I believe it was going to go down. He'd already been kicked out of his home. He was looking at probably going to jail. He didn't want that. Being in the military, didn't want to be in jail. Wanted to try to find another way out. I'll check it in a minute. She's not going to move till I check it, but I'll mark it in a minute. I do feel that it's somewhere between, I'm going to say, I believe that Easy Base campground, all right, good. And somewhere between there and probably halfway to Hendersonville. That's always been my guess. That's why I searched those areas, and I have a bunch more I need to search. I feel somewhere in there. That part could be that Seth wanted to search. There's a reason that he wanted to search that. It's a hunch of his that he wanted to search that. I don't think it was from a tip. I think it was from some kind of either easy exit off that highway going towards that campground. And that's why they thought to check there. It's a bigger area. You could probably sneak in there and sneak out of there a lot easier. And I want to say that might be a really good area to thoroughly check, right? And in between there and some of those little county roads that run off that highway. And if you're taking back roads, you know how many back roads are there within that 3 hour and 30 minute, whatever, doorstep to doorstep drive. There's a lot of small roads, a lot of water sources, a lot of ponds and lakes, and it's a lot. And it's heartbreaking to think how much it could take possibly years of searching those areas and still not cover them all. That's something I think they knew. I think being military, they're really good with maps. Really, really, really good with maps, right? And I mean, remember, these are just my thoughts, right? And my theories. But I think all four of them are involved in this. I think somehow, some way, this was thought about. I don't necessarily think that it was going to be like, I think something happened that weekend, and then that date being picked, I think was the date that she had done a lot of things in her life on that date. So evidently there was that day was a bad day for her or something that she didn't like. And that's kind of her way of getting back, I believe, at Seth, was choosing that date. And it wouldn't shock me if that date meant something to him, right? It really wouldn't. And I just feel that you got it off. I just feel that somehow, some way, I know you want it back. She wants it back. She's like, no, you're not taking it. It's mine. Okay. She's going to try to untie it. But I do for what? She's going to try to untie it. I do feel that those areas need to be searched good. We're going to go back. We're going to search. Pray to God he's found before that, but we're going to go back. We're going to search. And I want y'all to think about that for a minute. Could there be a way that they could have orchestrated this where Chris didn't even use his vehicle, Katie didn't use her vehicle, they used the Bowersox vehicles, and their vehicles were left to where they would look like they were there when they checked, because they knew they were going to check all those pings, and check all those GPSs. They knew that. They're not dumb. They're military smart. They're not dumb. And as far as maps, I think they had an area. They could have possibly had an area already mapped out before that he could have stopped there before then and had everything prepped and planned and ready, right? We don't know that. But I do believe they were both involved. I believe that the phone call was basically an alibi for both. I've said that from the beginning. That phone call is an alibi. That was their way of saying, okay, look, see, no. But what she didn't think about was the shoes. And I think that messed her up, because I think that somehow, some way, they either had Kathy picked up in Kathy's car. Katie left her car somewhere within 38-minute round trip, right? Because that morning she was gone for 38 minutes, and that doesn't take that long to go to the school. So either she had put her car at Kathy's house and they had Kathy's car, And that's why Terry had to pick up Kathy in that, whatever, midnight, 3 in the morning. Anytime in that zone, I think once they both got back home, the buyers actually were able to hang up the phones and make it look like they had talked for 3 hours and she was going to bed at that time. I think that was part of their plan. And I feel that he had to come from Memphis to pick her up. And that's why I do think it's closer to 3 a.m. I really do. And I think that was Terry picking up Kathy and Katie came back to the house. I do believe that. And in my heart, it sucks to believe that, but I do believe that, right? I don't want it to be true. I don't. I want Sebastian to be okay, just like everybody else wants this young man to be okay. It's heartbreaking to think about it, but as I said, the landfills, all those things are too hard to get done. They're too much to sign and paperwork to get this stuff done. Stop, Ruby, no. And I feel like somehow they knew this from the first 7 days. Either they seen something on camera that caught their eye, either they know that that's the Bauer socks that were seen on that vehicle,